Boom, shaka, laka, boom. After a 4-day weekend, we are back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. This is the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio, the most incendiary show on the airwaves, the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome in. Breaking rules when necessary. That's kind of my motto. And we've been doing a lot of that lately. Some people would argue maybe they weren't necessary to break those rules. I felt like they were. I indeed felt like they were. Let's see here. Very, very dangerous weekend in and around Jackson. Canton's a war zone right now. Man. We're going to get into all that. Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Mazda of Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Guys, look, if you're out car shopping, stop by Mazda of Jackson and let them get you rolling today. Go by, check out that all-new CX-9. It is redefined luxury in the crossover SUV market. It's a gorgeous vehicle, too. And look, every purchase comes with a limited lifetime powertrain warranty, and those things are legit. You follow the rules, and at 300,000 miles, your motor goes out, you're going to get a new motor. I mean, they are legitimate lifetime warranties there. Good stuff. Also, you're going to get a free 43-inch TV. And when you buy your purchase, you're going to get the owner's cell phone number and be able to address any questions, concerns, or what not you might have come up. So check them out, MazdaofJackson.com. Our phone number, again, to reach us this morning, to chime in, give your opinion, ask your questions, is 601-879-0002. My question of the day. I really don't even know why I'm doing this, honestly. I know the answer. My question of the day. With all the rumors and innuendo and everything that we previously discussed on this show last Thursday and Friday, with the FBI raids of Jody Owens' offices, his personal business, and more, with all the stuff that's out there in the ether, is it time? And I mean this from a logistical standpoint, not just a yes, it's time, but is now the time for the state to come in and put Jackson in some type of conservatorship? Because we're on the cusp, if you believe everything that's out there, of being allegedly, potentially down a DA, which I know that's Hinds County, not Jackson, but Jackson's in Hinds County, a mayor, and potentially a couple council people. So Jackson's going to be a wounded duck, so to say. Is now the time to come in and Tate Reeves and the legislature take over Jackson for a little while. 7, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that, just to really get it going back right. They can still have their elections, but I think what you do is you come in and you install a city manager that is appointed by the state for, say, 8 years. Let's just pick a number here. You install a city manager for around 8 years. Gets you through multiple mayors, city councils, elections, all that stuff. Or do you? I mean, I don't know what the legalities of that are. I've talked to a few people. Some people say it can't be done. I say anything can be done. You call a special session if the law currently doesn't allow for the state to take over a city. You call a special council. You create a bill, and you take it over. It's like, well, we voted this. Here's the new rule. They do that every year. Every year. They make new laws. They give them the ability to do stuff. So I don't know why this would be any different. I do believe it's time for the city to come in, the state, to come in and take over the city. What are your thoughts on it? 601-879-0002 is the Mazda of Jackson phone line. 769-241-1944 is the Guns and Gear text line. And not just a simple yes or no. I do want that. But if it's yes, what would you do? Like, I'm asking some of my better minds out there this morning, some of my deeper thinkers. Put your plan together. What would you do? How would you execute the takeover of Jackson? Or maybe a conservatorship is a better way to put it. What are some of the things you would put in place? Like day one type stuff. I definitely want to hear from you guys. If you prefer to email me, clay@wyab.com. And we've already got a call this morning on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. Hey, good morning. You're on there.
Hey, good morning, Clay.
Hey, brother.
Hey, this is Corinthian.
Hey, I was hoping you. I was hoping you'd call. I was
going to say you baited me in, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, man, I said my deeper thinkers. I want some people that got some real solutions here.
Yeah. So, as you would know, I agree with you on part of some type of receivership. If we're going to be honest, either me or Kim, the reasonable, sensible candidates so far that have announced our part for the next election, and we're going to be real with ourselves. We're going to have to work with the state on some type of level as far as receivership of the city. Now, for it to be total takeover, like how the state could take over a school district, I think it's nearly impossible for a city because the state constitution has like a home rule clause that gives cities a great amount of autonomy where the state can't go in and just simply take over. It will have to take a lot of amending the Constitution to do that. And we all know both Democrats and Republicans in the state legislature can't get anything done when we need them to get done on sensible legislature. They're not going to get anything done when it comes down to Jackson, fix the Jackson. So I wouldn't hold my breath on waiting on state legislature on both sides of the aisle.
Sure.
But it will really take for folks like yourself and other folks that lived in Jackson, grew up in Jackson, love Jackson. And when I say love Jackson, loving Jackson don't have to mean that you're praising or overlooking the negative, which is overcoming the city, to just promote the positive, the very few positives that happen in the city. Loving Jackson means being able to stand on your business, stand your ground, and tell the whole truth, the unadulterated truth about what's going on in Jackson, in cities that is ran by Democratic politicians. It's just the truth. And most of the time, those cities are heavily made up of, black folks. Not saying it's the black folks that's the problem. It's saying that black folks, we are held captive over a democratic philosophy that keeps us trapped and from aspiring to the American dream. The American dream's not dead. It's not dead in Jackson. Jackson can come back, but Jackson has to wake up and really fight for what we want. And we're going to need our partners like you, Clay, our neighboring cities, to step up because we forget Jackson is the capital city of the state of Mississippi. So we need all Mississippians who really care. I ain't talking about Facebook trolls. I ain't talking about social media trolls. I'm talking about people who really care about Jackson and making Jackson better because at the end of the day, human beings live in the city. And human beings in this city deserve the right of prosperity just like any other municipality in the state. And we all need to get involved. We got to push it forward, whether it be Kim or I or any other viable candidate for next year mayor. We all need to be involved in this election process so we can change Jackson from the outside in because we can't depend on the 10 to 15,000 people who regularly vote to continue vote for the Chuckways or the other nonsense. We need people to really inspire the masses, the 120,000 plus people who are eligible to vote, to get out there and vote.
100%, brother. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I was talking to Sean yesterday and kind of bounced this idea off of him also by a legislator friend. And I actually just got a text from a anonymous legislator who says, and I quote, if that gets brought up, we would get it passed. So the legislature is ready to play ball.
Yeah.
But
we're ready. What the legislation needs to do, just like I announced on Facebook over the weekend about my intentions with the Jackson Municipal Airport Authority, particularly the Medgar Evers Airport. The legislation needs to stop doing behind-the-scenes calculated attempts, which could be good intentions, but presumably with public perception, it's negative. So you're not going to get anything done unless you be up front with it. And there's ways to do it. Get connected, just like how these Democrats get connected with the churches and nonprofit organizations and the street committees. It's time for us to go there. When they go low, we need to go to hell. So when they go low, we need to go even lower.
I agree. That's like my fight.
We can't keep politics as usual because look what we're creating. We're all responsible for the demise of Jackson.
Yep.
Whether we take, be honest with it or not. But Democrats are the ones who's furthering pushing the bad and negative policies. But as Republicans and conservatives, like myself, I'm a libertarian, so I don't care about any of the parties, two parties. But as a libertarian myself, the true party that supports true limited government, conservatorship, I believe the people have the power and the to change Jackson. We don't need politicians to do it. We just need adults to grow up and be an adult and to stop using national platitudes and platforms to combat dialogue. Let's have real dialogue. If something offends you, just reflect on what offended you and why it offended you. Don't just quickly go to, oh, you're a racist, or you trying to get us incited, or you negative, you don't live in Jackson, you can't say nothing about Jackson. Well, Jackson is the capital city. It receives every county participation when it comes to ad valorem and taxes. So everybody have a say-so in this city, just like we have say-sos in other cities when we're trying to deflect about crime. We want, when you mentioned yourself last week, anytime we talk about the facts in Jackson, we 9 out of 10, if it's not a woke liberal, white liberal, a Democrat, a black Democrat come back and say, oh, well, what they're doing in Madison, what they're doing in Rankin County. Well, we're not talking about that, and nobody negating that crime doesn't happen everywhere else, but we were talking about Jackson, the number one crime-producing city in the state of Mississippi, the unsafest city, which, regardless what Lumumba say, in the state of Mississippi.
Hey, if Jackson was so safe, why does he run around with 2 personal security guards paid for by JPD?
Well, when you're lying so much, and when you're keeping up so much mess, and when your house is not in order, I will be scared too. He not only lying to his constituents, but he lying to whoever he in debt to. And I said what I said. When you got someone whose house is not in order, how do you expect that person to keep the city in order? His house is divided. The city is divided. This mayor have done nothing but cause division. That's his track record. A mayor who like to tout that he have a legal prowess or experience when he has no record of winning a case. No record outside of managing daddy's law firm that doesn't exist today. So what do we expect from somebody who talked the good talk? What Tim Wade called chalk lines. So what do we expect from somebody who does nothing but lie? Nothing.
Nothing. Hey, quick question. Try to keep it under a minute here. We got to take a break, but on a real talk here. If you become mayor and the state is allowed to come in some type of, I refer to it like in a conservatorship type role, what would you want help from the state? Like to help kind of take the load off a little bit, so and figure out what's going on.
The enterprise fund, I'm kind of torn between the water system. So I believe that there should be some type of amended process with the water system and water and waste. I think we need our control back, but under the right leadership. I believe the state and the city should be controlling the water and not some federal government, because like I said, I'm against federal government regardless. But the enterprise fund, anything that deals with its own agency, like the parks, like the airport. Those things, I believe they should be under direct receivership because they need it. Because every Mississippian benefits from it, or more than just Jacksonians benefit from those things. So we can focus on the things that matter: roads, drainage, debris cleanup, neighborhood restructuring, those like police, staffing police. The state need to be more responsible of giving us funds or supplemental funds to pay for more police and beat cops in particular. My plan calls for 350 more police officers to be hired within a year of my administration. And I know it's a hard task to do, and it's never been done in Jackson because, someone has to want to do it. And I believe with my focus on the basics, or get back to the fundamentals, and allow the state to take control of other things that we don't need to necessarily to focus on, I think I can achieve those core values that we need in the city: public safety, education reform, and infrastructure. And I think that will be a successful attempt on correcting the wrongs in Jackson.
I think one of the day one things should be let the state take over the school district.
Exactly.
Hey, y'all take over the school district, get it fixed. If we in 8 years, if we've passed everything and we feel like we're responsible enough, give it back. Whatever. I'd let the state have the school district day one. Please fix this.
Then Republicans will be doing what we libertarians been crying for a long time: fundamentally dissolving the State Department or the United States Department of Education, because that's what needs to ultimately happen, so we can give that local, county, state control back into our schools.
Yep.
We have to dissolve the Department of Education, and it will start from the grassroots, which is in the city level first.
Man, absolutely one of the best phone calls we've ever had, Corinthian. Best of luck with everything, brother. Thank you for listening and calling in. Great call. Ding, ding, ding. Ring the bell for Corinthian this morning. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Great phone call. 2 or 3 people just texted and said they actually reached out to Corinthian on Facebook to tell him what a great phone call. So good stuff there. We appreciate that. It is nice to know, man, that we've got a couple guys that I think, realistically don't have anything to gain. It's not a financial gain thing for them. It's a legacy play. I think we've got a couple really smart guys ready to make a legacy play at mayor. You got Kim Wade. He's got some great ideas. One of my dearest friends. You have Corinthian. I think I've met Corinthian before, but I talk to him on the show all the time. I feel like I know him. He's got his head on straight. You heard one of the best phone calls this show's ever gotten. These are people who are willing to work with the state. Say, yes, we need help. Our blackness ain't gonna get in the way of allowing you to help us. And I think that's the first thing. Is like finally saying, yeah, man, why wouldn't I want the help from the state when they're offering to give it to me? Let's work towards eventually getting the water back. That's okay. Let's get it right, and then work toward to put some systems in place to prevent it from happening again. Some checks and balances. The school system. You have nothing to lose, unless except some money that you're doing something with other than what you're supposed to with the school. Let the state take over the school system. Only 54% of JPS third graders can read at a third grade level. There's a lot of failure to go around. There's a lot of blame to go around at that failure. It starts at home. 100% starts at home. And then it's the culture at the schools. I bet you they can't read at a third grade level, but I bet you they can tell you who killed George Floyd. I bet you they can tell you who Emmett Till is. Let's read a couple of your text messages here. It was kind of a short segment. I let Corinthian run over there. Wasn't going to stop him when he was on a roll. But we're going to have to get our time back here in just a second. Where are my text messages? Here we go. So at some point I'm going to have to start giving my phone number out because it's easier to to do that. Let's take a call here on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. Hey, brother, you on there?
Good morning, sir. I've got a great weekend.
Oh, I did. You? Hey,
I'm doing great, but y'all talking about recalling Chuckway and everything. And
hey, cut your radio down.
Taking over Jackson and everything.
Yeah.
You got to remember, this guy won election by about, 50%, then won re-election by 70 or 80%. He will get re-elected again, Clay. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Kim, known him for a long time, love him to death. But Chuckway will get re-elected again. Mark my words.
Not if he's a felon.
He's just like Harvey. It's hard for him to let him go.
I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I'll never underestimate the ability of a Jackson. It's kind of like the ability of a Hinds County jury pool to screw something up. I'll never underestimate Jackson's ability to put the worst possible candidate in office.
Say they were to take and put over in conservatorship. Do you have any billions of dollars that would cost the state? Think about it. The schools, all the things got to be redone. All the roads got to be redone. Extra police officers, extra payroll, overtime, new equipment. Man, it would be a cluster. I can't afford to take it over.
I don't think it works. I don't think you have to come in and start paving all the roads. You don't have to come in and fix and make everything new. You come in and you get things back right.
I mean, so getting things right is the water system, the trash.
That's already done.
The set aside money, the crime. Money. I mean, that takes money. And I don't think the state wants to invest it.
Well, you operate it with the tax money they have coming in, just like they're currently paying the bills that they have. I mean, you don't just come in and pay for everything. You use the tax money that's currently paying for JPD, that's currently paying for schools, the money you get from the state for schools.
But again, Clay, if you're going to have more police officers, I mean, you'll have more cars, more equipment, more guns, more uniforms, more fire department. I'm just saying, though, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to spend the money to do it. And it's going to cost the state no telling how much. And I don't think they want it. Well, who in their right mind would want that anyway? But I understand where you're coming from. Like somebody that worked for U.S. Attorney told me a long time ago. They gave up on Jackson a long time ago. But hey, you have a good day, my friend.
Thanks, brother. I disagree with that. I disagree with the math on that. Let's see here. Guns and Gear text line. All right. Sorry, it takes a second to get these things pulled up sometimes. It says, unknown texture. There's too much anger in our politics. Enough preachers. We need calm. So not enough preachers? We got too many preachers in politics, too. Kenneth says, everyone should be able to vote in Jackson elections. It's our capital city. A lot of state services are located there. A lot of people from other counties work there. State should take over and clean it up. All right, that's the last text there. Somebody asked me to recap Friday's show, the FBI raids, all that. We're going to get to bits and pieces of that kind of as we go here today. And we spent 2 whole shows, Thursday and Friday, talking about it, so I just don't want to beat a dead horse because nothing new has come up. But we'll get into some stuff. There has been a story on Jackson Jambalaya that we're definitely going to hit about Jody Owens involving himself in economic development, strangely. So I think that could all link back to this. We'll see how it shakes out. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. This is one of the scariest things I've seen in a while. And I tell you all, this stuff happens around here. And this is why I think the way I do about Jackson and a lot of Jacksonians. And y'all get as mad at me as y'all want. I'm well past the point of caring if you get mad at me when I know I'm standing on the foundation of the truth. Now, y'all might not like the truth. You're used to being coddled and lied to and told everything's going to be all right. All your problems are because of other people. Nothing you did or didn't do in your life is the cause of you having to go carjack and rob and shoot and kill people. It's all the supremacy's fault. Well, Friday in Jackson, 2 future rocket scientists and engineers, maybe even an astronaut or 2, decided to just carjack an entire family that was in their driveway. It was 6 family members, 4 in the car, two outside the car. You know, typically you roll up on somebody to carjack them. I've never done it, but at least in the movies, you use the gun to scare them into giving you the keys or the car or the money or whatever. These idiots, future rocket scientists, engineers, and maybe an astronaut or two, they just roll up and start shooting at these people in their driveway. A couple black dudes and the family, a couple white folks over in West Jackson. What are they doing in West Jackson still? Neither here nor there, but whoo-wee, get out. So I'm just going to play the video. I'm just going to play the video here and because they'll kind of talk and I'll do my typical commentary on top of it. This is from WAPT. It's about 2.5 minutes long.
This video you're about to see, there's two suspects seen attacking a family with one goal in mind, and that's to get a car. Now, for some viewers, this may be disturbing.
Now, for one goal in mind, they were trying to kill them. Keep in mind, there was two kids in the back seat. Oh.
Caught on a Ring camera. Watch as two suspects creep up, firing at a family as they were saying their goodbyes in the driveway of their West Jackson home.
Me and him was outside on the, outside of the car. I'm so sorry. Anyways, and I threw my hands up. I'm like, hey. And he just pulled me down.
Heather Allen and her son were outside the car, but inside was her oldest son, daughter, and two grandchildren.
They kept hollering, like, give me the keys, get out. My daughter was like, my babies are in the car.
Then you can see one of the suspects pulling Allen's daughter out of the car.
He jumps in the driver's seat. I'm standing on the outside looking in, and he points a gun in my oldest boy's face.
Her son gets out, and that's when Allen braves it to grab her grandchildren from the back seat.
Like my oldest granddaughter that's in the back seat, she's looking at me saying, Mimi, like, help me, like, get me. I'm scared.
The whole time, one of the suspects was still yelling for the keys. When they couldn't figure out how to take that car, Allen threw her keys on the ground. And you can see here, they soon after take off in Allen's car that was parked in the lawn.
Now keep in mind, these future rocket scientists, engineers, and possibly an astronaut or two didn't know how to work a push-button start. That's why they weren't able to steal the first car. The car that all the people were in that they jerked out of and put guns to their heads after already shooting bullets at them. I mean, what did they hit? I mean, they just recklessly shoot. And we're just glossing over that. I'm not. So anyway, they couldn't steal the Mazda. But right over here in the driveway, what appears to be a Hyundai Elantra, possibly. How many shows have we done about these numbnuts stealing Hyundais and Kias and going to jail over a Hyundai or a Kia? Anyway, let's finish.
And barricaded in there, like really paranoid and shocked still, not sleeping. My oldest son, his anxiety is like through the roof. He's even scared. My daughter, she has shock. They're in safety. They're in Batesville right now.
JPD found her car only 2 streets down about 40 minutes after the armed carjacking took place.
The cops said the car looks good, but it's an impound lot. I can't get it until they investigate it for fingerprints.
Allen's biggest fear now, because the suspects have yet to be found, is the possibility of them coming back.
I'm scared because I don't want them coming back. Like, I don't know what their mindset is,
Now, all the video you've seen has been taken into evidence by Jackson police. If you have any information about this case or the suspects involved, you're...
All right, I know the deal. Call Crime Stoppers. Oh, yeah, they're going to be retaliation. And if it's not, let that be a lesson that this whole retaliation myth is just that, a myth. But these guys were brazen enough. They're not wearing masks, paint me shocked, to just roll up in the yard. I mean, they were just walking down the road, saw some people. Like, there's no way this could have been planned. This was just a spontaneous act of violence. Chokwe Lumumba. This was not interpersonal violence. This was random people being hunted down and shot at and robbed. Not interpersonal violence. I was told that this is all interpersonal violence and anything else was just racism. Well, I guess you're right. Just the victims aren't the people that you think it is. Constantly, I get told I just find the worst things to talk about. Clay, you just find all the bad stuff to talk about. Well, this show ain't about good news, guys. The whole thing was called Save Jackson when I started it. The point being that it needs to be saved. There's not a whole lot of good news to share. So then when you show them case and example A here, the video we just played, you can go see that video. I need to go watch it because just kind of hearing the description online on the radio does not do you any justice. Go to WAPT.com. I think it's the first story up there, and watch this horror unfold and what this family's going through. It has relit a fire under me that frankly was starting to dim down just a little bit. Just seeing the sheer arrogance and audacity of people to just randomly shoot at innocent people, little babies in the back seat of that car. It's just something to behold. I hope they find these people and they throw them under the jail. I hope Tyree Jones and the Sheriff's Department and Capitol Police and JPD or whoever else are doing what they can to find these clowns. Then, and we're going to talk about this too, a little old lady walking out of a grocery store in Pearl Sunday, I think it was Sunday, and gets carjacked. Maybe it was yesterday, whatever it was, yesterday. Gets carjacked by a guy in the parking lot at a grocery store in Pearl, and then I don't know what's worse, guys. Getting carjacked and having a gun put at you, presumably he used a gun, or being driven to, because if she was kidnapped as well, the story doesn't say that, but if you take me somewhere with a gun beyond my control, you've kidnapped me. A lot of nights I went to bars I didn't want to. Now that I think about it, I was probably kidnapped and taken there. They picked this woman up, carjacked her, kidnapped her, and dropped her off in the middle of South Jackson. I don't know what's worse, getting carjacked or getting dropped off in Jackson. Like, just take the keys. They done run out of stuff to rob, steal, kill, and pillage in Jackson, so they're having to come over to God's country, to Rankin County, to the Pearl of the South, Pearl, Mississippi, and bring that nonsense over there. I fully 100% anticipate giving out a brand new effed around and found out grand championship to some idiot by the end of business today. We'll be right back. Call them to begin with. All right, I want to read a couple text messages we got here on the Guns and Gear text line. The phone line, Mazda Jackson phone line. We'd love to hear from you guys this morning. 601-879-0002. Should the state take over Jackson some form, fashion, or another, some type of conservatorship, take over the schools and any other services they can to just try to get things back right? Take over JPD. Just fold it, merge it all, fold it all into Capitol Police. I know I'm being a little sarcastic there. I don't even know if you can do that, but make Bo Lucky a crime czar of sorts, like Frank Melton did Sheriff McMillan back in the day. Put him over the Sheriff's Department and JPD. Well, you could do that in Jackson. Put Bo Lucky over the Capitol Police and JPD. Bo's probably somewhere right now like, please don't put that on me. Please don't put that on me. Don't even try to will that into existence. Anyway, here are the texts I have. I think I know who this is from. So they didn't call me a racist, homophobe, bigot, or January 6er, so it may not be who I think it is. But it says, you have a proven track record that almost every candidate Clay Edwards Show has sponsored has lost their election, national, statewide, and local even. But, man, I tell you what, some occasional punctuation would be nice in these text messages. My goodness. It says, even Democrat David Archie lost his election, so when black Jackson citizens hear that of all people, Clay Edwards is endorsing anybody, that's a red flag. Your candidates, they lose like always. You're doing Antar a great favor. Well, what it shows me is Black Jackson's inability to vote based on anything other than their fee-fees. It's just a prime example of Black Jackson putting their blackness in front of everything. Their safety, their financial well-being, the services they get for their tax dollars, their kids' education, smooth roads, working red lights, safe gas stations, quality of life things to do. You know, that they will elect the worst person available as long as they understand that their blackness is the most important thing in fighting the mythical racist boogeyman. You know, so that's really what that tells me about Jackson. And to quote them, Black Jackson voters, is that the only thing that's of substantial importance to them is having the blackest candidate who is just blames every failure on blackness or, well, racism. And we got to get past that. You're never going to get Jackson out of the situation it's in if you keep strictly voting on who going to be the blackest. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, I have zero thoughts or assumptions or anything that Jackson will ever have a white mayor. I don't know that. People tell me they need a white mayor all the time. Black people tell me that, by the way. And I'm like, no, you just need one of these good people who doesn't put their blackness above everything to run. One of these smart people who know how to be a leadership, people who have ran things, people who have, at minimum, ran departments where they worked. They understand how to manage people. That's what the mayor's supposed to do, is manage the department heads and the city. If you rode around with Pearl's Jake Wyndham for a day or two, let's just say a week, if you trailed or shadowed, would be the better word, if you shadowed Jake Wyndham for a week and saw everything he does to keep Pearl running and working with his board of aldermen, his department heads, the citizens, everything, all the calls he constantly takes, the riding around he does, he's his code enforcement. He rides around and makes sure things are right. And then or Butch Lee or any of the other guys around here, Mayor Mary, if the guy in Flowood, if you the mayor in Clinton, I hate when I start this because then I feel like I'm being rude if I leave somebody out that's doing a good job. If you're doing a good job, I'm talking about you. And then go ride around with like Chalkway for a week. Go hang out with, was it Truly up in Canton? That's a disaster. I bet you that's just like riding with Chalkway for a week. Go ride around with them for a week and see what they do. And you'll understand what I'm talking about. You'll see the difference in people who have ran things and people who run things into the ground. Big difference. Let's see here. Reagankin on the Guns and Gear text line said, I wonder if the two beneficiaries of the catch and release. Oh, okay. Got you here. Because I wonder if the two were beneficiaries of catch and release. Wonder if the mayor keeps a track of violent offenders who are beneficiaries of catch and release. We're talking about the two people that carjacked that family and shot at them for no reason. And he says, yes, you either take Jackson over or divide it up to surrounding cities except Canton. Jackson is not going in the correct trajectory, nor has been for years, whether it's crime, school system, or city services. I mean, can somebody name me one thing? Texter, who said that people that this show supports all lose. Texture, name me something other than black for a living that Chokwe's done good, that's benefited somebody other than him, allegedly. I'm going to get my day to dance here soon. And, I'm going to dance. I'm going to dance. I hear there may be a new dance called the Perp Walk. But we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. So, let's read a couple more texts. And we're going to get into, on the other side of this next break, we're going to get into a big story that Kingfish dropped over the weekend over at Jackson Jambalaya. Unknown texture. It's the inability of the black Democrat to leave the Democrat plantation. It is so disappointing to watch it. It truly is. Because my day-to-day dealings with these people are all good. It's not like a personal, oh my God, you're a terrible person to be around because you do this. It's like, man, you're a really normal person that believes in a lot of the same things I do on the surface, but then you get in that voting box and you do this dumb nonsense. I just don't understand it. This benefits you no way, no how. And it actually hurts all of us. Like, unless you're one of the minority set-aside contractors or somebody in the Lumumba administration, I don't understand why you continue to subject yourself to this. Well, you go, to own Clay, to be like, ha, you don't like him, Clay, so we voted for 4 more years of death and destruction. Ha, we showed you, cracker. Jerry says the Democrat solution is to ban Hyundais and Kia, referencing back to our last segment there. Oh, yeah, that's it. I mean, they're suing Hyundai and Kia because they're subjects, because they run these things like they're the matriarch, kings and queens. That's how they run these cities. So the people who live in them are their subjects. Because they can't control their subjects, we'll blame Hyundai and Kia for their cars being easy to steal. Man, that's a real indictment on society right there, isn't it? Golly. Kenneth says, just move the capital to Madison. I'm going to circle back to that. Lost Sheep says, it's a good time for that lady to visit Guns and Gear, and that lady got carjacked and kidnapped. That car was a Nissan Altima. The one in Pearl, yeah. Let's see here. Unknown Texture says, this is going back to kind of the beginning. No, this is just now. It says, challenge the powers that be to provide some good news. I'm sure they cannot. That was people who complain about me never doing good news. So, hey, you want good news? Send me some. It's always funny. I'll occasionally read the comments on my Facebook page or Instagram or something, and it's people railing me, talking about, why don't you talk about Madison? Why don't you talk about Rankin County? What about Brett Favre? Talk about some good news. And then you go on their page, and they're talking about the same stuff I am. Or they're showing girls twerking, pee-popping on a handstand. And they're worried about what I'm not posting. I mean, look, y'all can tell me we don't make a difference here, that nobody listens, but based after a couple of the phone calls I got Friday afternoon, the right people listen to this show. Powerful people listen to this show. You can take that to the bank. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's get into Jody Owens and a meeting he set up where he involved himself in economic development in Jackson for some odd reason. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We've had Ryan sitting on hold on the Mazda of Jackson phone line through the break there, so we're going to go straight to Ryan. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. People, when I first got introduced to you, my first thing was, man, this dude is racist. but this is on so much of a surface level, and me reading things that were shared by other people, just on the surface level. But then when I started to, research stuff and listen to what you were actually saying and getting out of my feelings, which men should do, actually what adults should do, and just, get out of your feelings, get out of your emotions, and listen to the facts, listen to what the person is saying, they would soon change their tune. I'll give you a real story, man. This is not something that I'm dreaming up. This just happened. I live in Jackson. I miss Pearl, man. I want to go back. I think I'm going back. But anyway, I live in Jackson. A car down the street from me was just broken into. I stopped the actual break-in. It took JPD, and I know JPD is not to blame for this, but it took JPD 47 minutes to get here. And when they got here, all they did was just leave a card on the person's seat that the car was broken into. They left a card there. The reason I was able to access the seat because the window was gone. Anyway, what people need to realize is that, man, they need to change their ideas. And because if they change their ideas on how they think and how they, if they just honest with themselves, they would see that you guys, me, you, and Kenway, and a whole lot of other people are more aligned than we are different. That has nothing to do with race, man. Nobody wants to live in what Trump called an S-hole. And people need to realize that Jackson right now is an S-hole. And it needs to be revamped, needs to be taken over, whatever it needs to happen. But it was one president, I think he was a Democrat. I can't think of his name. I should have looked up the quote. But he was like, I have these N-words voting Democrat for the rest of their lives. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I forgot which president said it. And
it's right. I know. I forget some of those older guys' names, too, but it's the one that brought in the welfare.
Right. And dude was brilliant because it's working. It has worked and will forever work until people actually wake up. The people that are woke ain't woke up, man. It ain't. I hate people hijack terms and say it means this, it means that, but it does not. If you are really woke, you would get off of the Democratic plantation. And also, even if you want to say, well, what's my alternative? If the Republican is not offering you something, don't vote for them either. But you need to be able to organize and get in the position so you can have somebody to represent you. But if you don't have anybody to represent you, you need to be a part of the solution and get with people that are trying to give you something instead of nothing or the same thing. Because we're getting the same thing year after year after year. It just so happened that the people that are in power are the Democrats. And, I grew up Democrat, and I had to ask myself, why am I Democrat? Just the same reason why I had to ask myself, why am I Christian? Because I grew up that way. Not saying there's anything wrong with Christianity, not saying there's anything wrong with being a Democrat. I'm saying the people that are in power, because there are people, like Trump said, and they didn't even understand when he said that, there are good people on both sides, and you can apply that to almost every argument. There are good people on both sides.
Sure.
You just have to be smart enough, man, to realize
quick history
what side
lesson.
you're on.
Quick history lesson here. It was LBJ that said it.
LBJ, okay. And it's been working, man. It's been working ever since. And what I realize is that people don't like facts. They just don't. I do not understand that people don't like facts. Man, you can hit them with a fact, and they would try to counter it. Like, you can't counter my fact with another fact.
With your feelings.
Right. It doesn't make sense. And if we're doing that, then what's the end game?
Well, see, that's what they done, Ryan. That's why they call me a racist, because I speak in facts, and my facts a little harsh. I put a little sauce on it because I'm trying to get through to knuckleheads. Yeah, sure I do, and I understand some of the name calling, some of the perceptions about me. It's going to come with that, right? I know that. I'm not surprised that I get called a racist because it's an uncomfortable conversation that we haven't been having enough. So now, when people, after they haven't been hearing the right conversation, after people have been so afraid to have the conversation with them because they don't want to get called a racist, that they just quit having the conversation, it's gonna be a shock to the system when somebody ain't scared to have this talk, when somebody ain't scared to speak some uncomfortable truths. I mean, look, I love nothing more than sitting here and having this conversation with you, because I remember you sent me a message one time before I even knew you, called me a racist, you know?
Yeah.
And, I was like, well, screw you too, you know? And I've dealt with this for years and years and years. I was so, when I found out this was you that was calling this show, I was so excited for you, man, and for myself. Because A, I never had a problem with you, and B, it just showed me that if a guy whose first two words ever to me were "you're a racist" has turned the corner and is now listening to this, I had nothing but respect for you, man.
I appreciate it, man, and it's likewise. I have nothing but respect for you and Ken Wade. I hear the words that people call Ken Wade, but the people that are calling and slinging these words, hurling these words, man, they're in the same situation they were 4 years ago, 8 years ago. What then? What? Something, you have to turn the corner. You have to turn the corner. These folks don't want to turn the corner. They, it's beyond me, man. It's beyond me. I do not understand. Why do you want to continue on the same trajectory that you're on? Because it's headed for failure. It's in failure now. It's going lower and lower and lower and lower. Well, I don't understand it, bro.
My question is this, is like, can they just point out one thing that it's doing better in? Like, I keep defaulting back to Chocoway and Jackson because that's the immediate issue that affects our daily lives, is the capital city. Mm-hmm. Can you just tell me one thing that they've done better than it was handed to them, that hasn't gone backwards?
There isn't anything. There isn't anything. And again, those are facts. People don't like facts. They can't get past black and white. They just can't, man. And to me, those people haven't traveled, outside of the zip code, traveled outside of Mississippi, traveled outside of the United States. When you travel and get some knowledge, when you travel and start seeing things, and when you even travel just a state over, hell, if you even travel just, a county over, you were like, wait a minute, why are these people living like this? Yep. It ain't because they're racist.
Man, look, yeah, man. So I live around more black folks in my neighborhood in downtown Brandon than most white folks do in, say, like Belhaven or Fondren. Mm-hmm. It's not a race thing. People have this. I mean, Brandon High School is probably, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I can't back this up, but I live there, so I see it with my own eyes. Brandon High School is probably 50-50, 60-40 white-black, somewhere in there. It's not like it's some white enclave out there. It's just a bunch of people, black and white, who don't want to be about that nonsense.
Right. That's it. But you got people who have not traveled outside of 39206. So they don't know. And I'm not making an excuse. But listen, man, get out of your car and travel. Thing is, people know it's a difference. I've heard it. I've seen it. I've been guilty of it. When I cross over and it says enter in Rankin County, if I got one of my cousins or somebody in the car, they immediately put their seatbelt on if they don't have it. Why is that? Because they know it's a difference. Yeah. They know it's a difference. They know it is a difference. You should have the same respect for where you live at. But they don't, man. I'm saying they, and it's not just a black thing or a white thing. It's a culture thing. Because I know I got some white partners, and they on that same stupid stuff. Yeah. Like, why?
Hey, look, when I like to think I'm a pretty straight arrow when it comes to abiding by the law, other than maybe speeding a little bit here and there. Man, when I cross into Rankin County, my butthole tightens up. And it has for 30 years. You just know, you F around, you're going to find out. I hate to keep going back to that, but it's so relevant. It's a culture, talk about culture, it's a culture in Rankin County that we ain't taking no nonsense here. Does crime happen? Did a lady get carjacked there the other day? Absolutely. When they find said carjacker, I can promise he will not be a participant in the Hinds County catch and release program.
That's right. That's right.
That's the difference.
Exactly right. They have a standard. They have a standard that is understood, and it has nothing to do with race, man. It is a standard. Why would you want to live better? Why would you want things to be better? My church sent out a text message saying, hey, find an alternate route to church because the lights are out. Yep. I went down that same road. I think it's Elton Road and something else.
Yep.
man, life's just dangling by a string.
Yeah, my parents still live down
Friday.
that way. Terry and Elton. Yep.
That's been since Friday.
Mm-hmm. And just to confirm, Brandon's 35% black. So they're not a super minority out there. 35% is a big number in a school that big.
Yes, it is.
You know, in Northwest Rankin's probably even more. So there's plenty of black folks in these schools out there, but it ain't out there making a mess, making a fuss. You know, it's like, and I want to say one more thing. The same people in Jackson who constantly scream about the need for diversity, they live the most racially segregated lives of anybody. Like people, like just hardcore, deep black Jacksonians never get around white people. So
nope.
and they think when they do, there's something fishy going on. And I'm like, man, just get outside your circle a little bit. Leave the neighborhood. We all get along just fine. Like, I don't side-eye nobody I see out in Brandon. Maybe I should. But, I don't. None of that. Or Pearl or any of these places. I mean, I grew up in a very diverse, mixed Jackson 25, 30 years ago. And it changed. And it ain't that city no more. So I just always kind of get a little laugh out of the very people who scream diversity self-segregate themselves worse than anybody.
Right. And that's why their ideology, their outlook on life is just very, very slim. I'm going to land my plane with this. The sponsors I hear on here, like Tom's Fried Pies, man, what's the Acme Pizza? When you go out there, man, you're greeted at the door. Hey, man, how you doing, man? You know, all that. Man, I had a great time at Tom's Fried Pies, had a great time at Acme Pizza and Daiquiri. And yes, I was a minority there, but I wasn't treated that way, and it had nothing to do with my green money at all, man. There are some good people out here, but you got to get outside of yourself to understand that and see that. And I'll land my plane there, brother. Thank you.
Great call. Thank you, brother. To quote Jim Rome, rack him. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Let's see here. Unknown texter says, waiting on these texts to load has really become a thorn in my side. Says the funeral home industry in Jackson is thriving under the mayor's guidance. Touche. I did a ceramic coating on a funeral home director, or a guy that I guess family owns a funeral home, did a ceramic coating on his Maybach. So, yeah, business is booming in the funeral business. So I saw this the other day. For whatever reason, Other Kane decided to ring my bell and made a Facebook post after Friday's show. Says, in a world filled with Clay Edwards, be a Burt Case. And to that I have a very simple response. In a world filled with Other Kanes, be a Kim Wade. Woodrow. Lyndon Johnson said, we have bought the in vote. Yep, that was that. Let's see here. Unknown texter. When you compare Jackson with the Wild West, not Hollywood model, Jackson far more dangerous. Yeah, there's supposed to be some documentaries getting ready to come out about the real Wild West. All right, let's go to this story here over on Jackson Jambalaya. I think this is all going to be very relevant based on the information I have here in the next few weeks. Maybe this week. Over at jacksonjambalaya.com. Councilman, DA shopped investors for downtown project. A Jackson City councilman said Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens and several out-of-state investors met with him in February to discuss the Convention Center Hotel and related projects. Ward 1 Councilman Ashley Foote told Jackson Jambalaya this afternoon, this was back on Saturday, said this afternoon had scheduled, let me start over there. Ward 1 Councilman Ashley Foote told JJ this afternoon that a scheduler for the district attorney contacted him in mid-February to set up a meeting between Mr. Foote, Mr. Owens, and a group of out-of-town investors for February 29th at the Capitol Club. Mr. Foote agreed to the meeting. Mr. Owens, his staffer, and 4 investors met Foote from 11:30 to 1 at the scheduled time. Khakis, not suits, were the order of the day, as the investors wore business casual attire. The meeting opened with a discussion about reducing blighted properties in Jackson, a subject near and dear to the councilman's heart. After a few minutes, Mr. Owens and friends got down to the business of their business. Mr. Foote said it was odd the district attorney set up such a meeting, as his forte is law enforcement, not economic development. Their deal was they were interested in investing in Jackson. They mentioned they mentioned retail stuff, also a convention hotel. We were right there where you could overlook it, said Mr. Foote. The group stood at the window looking down at the convention center as they discussed the convention center hotel. They used the vantage point to look at other empty properties in downtown Jackson. You can see all of the empty properties that surround the convention center hotel, continued the councilman. The purpose of the meeting, here's where we're getting down to brass tacks here. The purpose of the meeting was, quote, for them to find out how to get business done in Jackson. That's kind of what they wanted to know. How does Jackson work? How do we get things done here was the underlying theme of the discussion, said Mr. Foote. Quote, I wasn't suspicious at all, but what struck me was that they didn't have the real smooth presentation delivery that you would normally expect folks trying to make a big expensive investments to have. I have been in the investment business for 40 years, so I've seen presentations all across the country of companies that try to sell stuff. They've got it down to a science. I'm used to seeing people, if you're investing hundreds of millions of dollars or more, you've got a particular delivery. You're trying to engage people and get their feedback. It's how you do it if you were trying to make a presentation. They didn't strike me as seasoned presenters, said the Ward 1 councilman. They did not present any handouts nor business cards to Mr. Foote. Quote, we talked about how Jackson needs investments. You can look out the window and see the benefit from investors coming in and building a hotel or retail or any of those things we are interested in. The sense I got was Jody was going to line up meetings with the other council people, said Mr. Foote. He said that he did not know if such meetings occurred. Mr. Foote concluded, we're trying to find people that can make things happen in Jackson. We are investors. They mentioned the convention center hotel and retail, but we didn't really get much into the specifics. And then one of the things that was striking was as we got to the close of the meeting, Jody, and some of the members there were going to look specifically at the convention center and other things, but they didn't invite me. I was just struck. They seemed blasé about my interest. The West Point graduate said he had never heard from Mr. Owens nor the investors since the Capitol Club meeting. He said he runs into the DA socially, but they have not returned to the subject of the meeting. The meeting took place a few weeks after the city issued a new request for qualifications for the Convention Center Hotel on January 31st, 2024. The city has issued several RFPs over the years, but has been unable to attract more than a few casual nibbles at the Convention Center Hotel. Kingfish's notes here say, why is the DA getting involved in Jackson economic development? And, a simple little tax roll search, land roll, however you say that. If you look at all the land, you really need to go for the visual here. Go look at jacksonjambalaya.com. And they've got this RFP scribed out there, put it in, kind of showing, what the city was wanting out of this deal. I read about the first page of it. Diversity, diversity, diversity. Anyway, it shows the land that the convention center hotel would be on. It's directly across from the convention center. There's been a bunch of buildings over the years, all flattened out now. The only two buildings that are standing on this property are there on Lamar Street, which just so happen to house Jody Owens' cigar bar. And according to the land rolls, he does appear to own that building. I don't know if he owns the whole building that includes the nightclub that's in there, 4th Avenue, and maybe he rents that to them. I don't know. I didn't dig that far into it, or we didn't dig that far into it. And then the other building there would be the offices of Dennis Sweet, which I assume Mr. Sweet owns those offices. So they would clearly benefit greatly as property owners if the convention center, hotel, and parking garage got built right next to their buildings. One would almost have to assume they would need to buy those buildings and tear them down. Because why would you not want that frontage property on Lamar Street there? So that's just my personal opinion. I think where there's smoke, there's fire, and I think we're going to see a big fire here very soon concerning all of this stuff. We'll be right back. Land the plane for the day on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show, here where we break rules when necessary. Lakeland Glass and Tint, make it the short and sweet. Need a windshield or automotive glass? They got you covered. Need your home, car, or business window tinted? They got you covered. Need to turn your vehicle into a rolling billboard with a wrap, with a custom design logo, or just a new color? They got you covered. And last but not least, ceramic coating protection for your clear coat and paint. They got you covered at Lakeland Glass and Tint. We're getting into the hot months of the summer where the sun does the absolute most damage to your clear coat and paint. Get protected today. You can get started at lakelandglassandtint.com for a quote and swing by and see them in person right there on Lakeland Drive and on Flowwood Drive. They have two different campuses, one for windshields on Lakeland and glass, and one for window tint, wraps, and ceramic coating there across from the River Oaks ER on Flowwood Drive. All right, been a good show today. I have probably called it Monday multiple times. It feels like it. Today's the most Monday Tuesday ever. Yesterday was the most Sunday Monday ever. But I hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend. Hope you took a minute to take a pause for the calls and say a prayer. And for all of our military folks who gave all to give us the freedoms to do what we do. I know I did. Had a great time this weekend. Had a great time with friends, getting to hang out with folks. Going to be a hot summer. And I ain't just talking about the temperature here around Jackson, as we're on the cusp of one of the biggest stories in the history of the city unfolding right in front of our eyes. Jackson's going to have a chance, potentially, to get a fresh start. Will they screw it up, or will it just be more of the same? We'll be here every day to talk about it. I'll see you guys tomorrow with Sean York Karan. Peace.